For today's adventure, we are going to freeze dry pumpkin. Hi, I'm Jonathan, the Provident Prepper. Last year we grew these pumpkins in our garden, and today we want to try freeze drying them. To start this process, we got them all cleaned up and gutted. Now they're cut up on these trays, and we will bake them and then take the meat off of those and freeze dry it in our freeze dryer. We use a lot of canned pumpkin, but this has a shelf life of about 5 years. We're thinking we'll probably get a shelf life of probably 20 to 25 years out of the freeze-dried pumpkin. Let's see how it goes.
We prepared the pumpkin by washing the outside, scooping out all of the seeds and the inside, and then we've cut them up so they'll cook relatively evenly and put them on these baking sheets, and we will bake them until they are nice and soft. The pumpkin is cooked, and we will cool it and take the skin off and mash it up, and then it should be ready to go. Okay, it's time to put the pumpkin in the freeze dryer, and we had one extra tray, so we just filled it with some frozen pineapple. This was on top of these other 2 trays in the freezer, and so it's got a little bit of ice crystals on the top. We've taken the pumpkin out of the freeze dryer, and it is quite amazing actually. It's just like, kind of like styrofoam. And it just breaks apart, super dry. This was cooked pumpkin that we put in there. So we are going to package all of that up in just a second. So I've placed an oxygen absorber in each one of these bags, and they're about halfway full. Because I'm going to use this pumpkin in different recipes like pumpkin pie or pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, all those kinds of things, I really don't want to waste any space taken up. I could blend this, and that would be okay too, but in a way, I kind of like a little bit more body to it. I'm a little bit afraid if I blend it that it's just going to be a little bit too mushy. So I'm okay with squishing this down as far as I can get it to go. The pumpkin's all packaged up now. I chose only to use pint-sized bags just because of the way that I use it. A lot of times if I'm going to make a recipe, I will use these little cans of pumpkin, and it seems to be just enough for the recipe. If I'm making it from our big pumpkins, I'm cooking a whole bunch, and then usually I'm putting it in the freezer because the extension agency recommends that pumpkin should not be canned unless it's cubed into cubes, and that kind of seems like a waste to me. So I don't usually can pumpkin anymore. I just, you put it in the freezer or have this. Now it's kind of interesting because this should be fairly close to the same amount. This is really heavy, but this is really light. So I think, to take freeze-dried foods places with you, it's just so incredibly light. Whether you're backpacking or evacuating, I think freeze-dried foods definitely has a place there. Now, I forgot to try this, probably because it's just cooked pumpkin without any salt or anything else. So tastes just like cooked pumpkin without any salt. It's actually pretty good. And the other thing about this is that we grew the pumpkin that is in these bags, right? So we know exactly where it was grown, how it was grown. It didn't have any pesticides or chemicals or anything like that. And so I have complete control what went into these bags. Now, let's take this and get cooking. Today, we're gonna take this freeze-dried pumpkin and we're gonna make one of my very favorite food storage recipes, and that is pancakes, because you can make pancakes 1,000 different ways, and you can eat them for breakfast, you can have them for lunch or a snack, you can spread peanut butter between them and eat them like a sandwich. So pancakes If you are really running low on ingredients, Pancakes will be your friend. Now, I'm not sure if you knew this or not, but these are wheat berries. So it's just wheat that's been stored. This is a Vitamix. And I can use a Vitamix to actually grind those wheat berries into flour. So as you can see in here, I still have some of those berries and I'm going to need to grind it a little bit longer, but you can also have some of the wet ingredients and make it work. So I'm going to add the oats in this recipe. So I had 1.5 cups of wheat berries, and this is 1/2 cup of oats, and I want it to be an oat flour. This is a tablespoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. So now I've got all these ingredients in here, and I'm just going to blend them up. I put all of my wet ingredients in here, and what I have in here is 1 cup of almond milk. You can use any type of liquid that you want in pancakes. You can use fruit juice, you can use water if you don't have anything else, you can use regular milk. We just need to be able to moisten it. We have 2 eggs. I have olive oil, 2 teaspoons of olive oil, and about 3 tablespoons of honey. And I'm going to add, this is the freeze-dried pumpkin. Now I'm not quite sure how much liquid the freeze-dried pumpkin is really going to need in order for the pancakes to be the perfect consistency. So I will just add more almond milk as necessary. But this is so easy to use it in a Vitamix because it just does all of the work for you. So blend this for me. White flour does not need as much milk, so if you're using white flour, you don't need to worry about that. But the oats and the whole grain flour will definitely need more moisture. Isn't it amazing that we just started out with the wheat berries? And now this is pretty much, I think, where I'd like it to be. The other thing that I really like about using a Vitamix is that I can just take it like this. This is my mixing bowl, and I'm just going to pour the batter into the pan, and it's just all so nice and self-contained. One dish. I love chocolate chips, and the chocolate chip pumpkin flavor combination is really good. One of the other things that might be really good with this recipe for pumpkin pancakes is actually an orange syrup. That would be delightful because pumpkin and orange, the flavor combination is really good, but we'll just stick with the chocolate chips for now. One of the things that I love about using the Vitamix to make the pancakes is that I don't have to grind the wheat first. The Vitamix will do all that work for me. If you don't have fresh eggs like we do, you can use freeze-dried eggs as a substitute, and they turn out really well, just raw freeze-dried eggs. If you click the card in the corner, it will take you to a post that we have written that has 25 different shelf-stable egg substitutes that you can use. Just go to that post. If you go about halfway down or so, there will be a printable PDF. Just click on that, print it out, and put it with your cookbook so that you have it when you need it. One of the other things that I wanted to make sure I pointed out is the difference in the shelf life. This can theoretically stay good on the shelf for between 5 and 7 years, much longer than when I stick something in the freezer. Once it's freeze-dried, it can stay good for up to 25 years, whether it's in this glass jar or this Mylar bag, as long as it's been preserved with an oxygen absorber in here. That's a really long time. Those 3 trays of cooked pumpkin yielded 6 Mylar bags and 1 pint bag, along with enough to try these pancakes. So food storage, you can eat an incredibly wonderful, diverse diet with basic ingredients if you know how to use it. What is your favorite recipe for using pumpkin? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.